So, you've heard about hurricanes on Earth, right? Those massive, swirling storms that bring destruction and chaos with their winds and rain. But what if I told you there's a hurricane in space? Yep, it's real, and it's called a space hurricane. Now, don't panic. This isn't the kind of storm that will knock your house down or flood your neighborhood. Instead, this cosmic hurricane is made up of charged particles and magnetic fields, not water and wind. Think of it as Earth's weather system but on steroids, only in space. Unlike Earth's hurricanes, which form over warm ocean waters and are powered by heat and moisture, a space hurricane forms in the magnetosphere, the region around our planet where Earth's magnetic field interacts with solar winds from the sun. These storms are created when charged particles from the sun collide with Earth's magnetic field, creating a swirling vortex of energy that can stretch thousands of miles across space. It's like if you took a giant tornado and launched it into the void of space. Now, here's where things get interesting. While Earth's hurricanes are destructive, space hurricanes aren't exactly harmful in the same way. They don't bring rain or wind, but they can cause geomagnetic storms that disrupt satellite communications, GPS systems, and even power grids on Earth. Imagine if your phone suddenly started acting like a toaster. Thanks to a space hurricane, that could be possible. These cosmic storms are more of a silent threat than an obvious one, which makes them tricky to predict and prepare for. But why should we care about a space hurricane in 2026? Well, scientists believe these events are becoming more frequent as solar activity increases. The sun has an 11-year cycle of activity, and right now we're approaching the peak of that cycle. That means more solar flares, more coronal mass ejections, and potentially more space hurricanes. If one of these storms hits Earth at the wrong time, it could cause widespread technological disruptions. So, while you might not feel a space hurricane directly, its effects could be felt in your daily life. So, what's the deal with calling it a hurricane in space? Well, scientists use the term because of the similar swirling motion and energy dynamics involved. Just like Earth's hurricanes have an eye at their center, these space hurricanes also have a central region where the magnetic field lines twist and spiral. It's a bit like if you took a tornado and gave it a cosmic upgrade, now with more science and less destruction, for now. Alright, let's dive into the wild world of solar activity because, honestly, our sun is like a cosmic party animal. It's not just a glowing ball in the sky. It's got a whole arsenal of tricks up its sleeve: sunspots, coronal mass ejections, and solar flares. These aren't just random happenings. They're part of a grand cosmic dance that can send shockwaves through space and even impact our planet. So what exactly are these phenomena? Let's break it down. Sunspots might sound like something you'd find on your skin after a long day in the sun, but in space, they're actually dark regions on the sun's surface where magnetic fields get tangled up in a big, messy knot. These spots are cooler than the surrounding areas and can be huge, like thousands of Earths side by side. But don't let their coolness fool you. They're not just pretty faces. They're often the birthplace of solar flares and coronal mass ejections. Now, if you thought sunspots were dramatic, wait until you hear about solar flares. These are like the sun's version of a lightning strike. Super intense bursts of radiation that can release more energy in a few minutes than the entire Earth produces in a year. They're powered by the sudden release of magnetic energy stored in the sun's atmosphere and can send out high-energy particles that travel at nearly the speed of light. Imagine if your toaster suddenly exploded with enough power to melt a whole city, except this is happening on the sun. Then there are coronal mass ejections, or CMEs for short. These are massive eruptions of plasma and magnetic field from the sun's corona, which is its outer atmosphere. Think of it like a giant solar sneeze that can blast billions of tons of charged particles into space at speeds that could reach millions of miles per hour. If one of these CMEs heads our way, it can cause geomagnetic storms on Earth, disrupting satellites, power grids, and even your GPS. So how do all these elements tie together to create a space hurricane? Well, the sun's magnetic field is like a giant invisible web that stretches out into space. When this web gets twisted or tangled, often due to the movement of plasma and the buildup of magnetic energy, it can lead to eruptions. These eruptions release massive amounts of energy and particles, which then interact with Earth's magnetosphere, creating what we call a space hurricane. It's like a cosmic storm that rages in the vacuum of space, far from our planet but still capable of causing chaos down here. Alright, let's talk about geomagnetic storms, because if you thought the Earth's magnetic field was just a fancy shield against solar winds, think again. A geomagnetic storm is basically a cosmic tantrum from the sun, and it's not something to take lightly. Imagine your favorite superhero getting hit by a powerful energy blast. That's what happens when solar flares or coronal mass ejections, CMEs, slam into Earth's magnetosphere. Now, you might be wondering, what even is the magnetosphere? Well, it's like Earth's invisible armor, created by our planet's magnetic field. This shield protects us from harmful solar particles and cosmic rays. But when a geomagnetic storm hits, it's like someone turned up the volume on a giant speaker. Except instead of sound, it's electromagnetic chaos. These storms can be so intense that they actually distort Earth's magnetic field, causing what scientists call magnetic disturbances. This isn't just some fancy jargon. It has real-world consequences. For instance, imagine your GPS navigation suddenly going haywire because the magnetic field is acting like a confused DJ mixing up signals. That's exactly what happens during geomagnetic storms. But wait, there's more. These storms can also wreak havoc on satellite communications. Think of satellites as Earth's eyes in the sky, sending us everything from weather forecasts to GPS data. When a geomagnetic storm hits, it's like those satellites are trying to talk through a thick fog. They just can't get their messages across clearly. And let's not forget about power grids. If you've ever had a blackout, you might have blamed the local utility company. But sometimes it's actually a geomagnetic storm at fault. These storms induce strong electric currents in power lines, which can overload transformers and cause widespread outages. It's like your home electronics are trying to dance with a wild current. Bad idea, folks. Alright, let's talk about the big storm in space that could hit Earth in 2026. Scientists are buzzing with excitement and a little bit of concern because they think there might be a massive space hurricane forming way out there, near the sun. Now, you're probably thinking, wait, hurricanes are on Earth, right? Well, not exactly. This isn't your typical tropical storm. It's a cosmic version that could wreak havoc on our planet's technology and even our power grids. Imagine if the sun threw a tantrum so intense it created a swirling vortex of charged particles. Sounds like something out of a sci-fi movie, but it might be real. So why are scientists so interested in this 2026 prediction? Well, they're keeping a close eye on solar activity because the sun is currently in a period of increased activity. You see, our star isn't just a glowing ball of gas. It's a dynamic powerhouse that can unleash massive eruptions called coronal mass ejections, CMEs. These CMEs are like solar sneezes, sending out clouds of plasma and magnetic fields at incredible speeds. If one of these storms is aimed directly at Earth, it could create what scientists call a geomagnetic storm, which is basically the space equivalent of a hurricane. Now, here's where things get interesting. A space hurricane isn't just any old solar flare. It's a massive, swirling magnetic structure that forms in the sun's atmosphere. These hurricanes can be hundreds of thousands of miles wide and last for days or even weeks. They're powered by the sun's magnetic field, which is constantly shifting and twisting like a giant, invisible rubber band. When these fields snap and reconnect, they release an enormous amount of energy, enough to power cities around the world for months. And if that energy is directed toward Earth, it could cause some serious disruptions. But don't panic just yet. Scientists are monitoring this closely because they want to predict when and where these storms might hit. They use a combination of satellites, ground-based observatories, and computer models to track solar activity in real time. These tools help them understand the sun's behavior and forecast potential impacts on Earth. It's like having a weather forecast for space, which is pretty cool if you ask me. Plus, knowing what's coming gives us a chance to prepare, like turning off power grids or putting satellites into safe mode. So why 2026? Well, the sun has an 11-year cycle of activity, and we're currently in a period known as solar maximum, where the number of sunspots and solar flares peaks. This means there's a higher chance of intense solar storms happening during this time. Scientists believe that the conditions for a space hurricane to form are more likely now than ever before. It's like the sun is throwing its biggest party in years, and we're all invited, but we need to be ready for the fireworks. Alright, let's get real. Space hurricanes are not your average weather phenomena. These cosmic storms can wreak havoc on our satellites, power grids, and even GPS systems. So how do we prepare? Well, first things first, scientists are basically playing detective with the universe. They're using superpowered computers and satellite data to predict these space hurricanes like a weather forecast but for outer space. It's like having a crystal ball, except it's made of code and cosmic rays. Once they spot a potential storm brewing in the magnetosphere, governments and tech companies start scrambling. Think of it as a superhero team-up. NASA, NOAA, and even private space firms are on high alert. They're basically running simulations to figure out what happens if this storm hits Earth. It's like planning for a hurricane but with satellites instead of sandbags. And yes, they've already seen some pretty wild scenarios in their models. Now, here's where things get interesting. Mitigation strategies are not just about predicting the storm. It's about protecting our tech and infrastructure from its wrath. One big move is hardening satellites against radiation. Imagine giving your gadgets a superhero shield so they can survive the intense solar winds and magnetic storms. Companies are even developing new materials that can withstand these cosmic punches, like building a spaceship with a better suit. Another strategy involves grounding up our power grids. You know how sometimes lightning strikes and knocks out the lights? Well, space hurricanes can do something similar, but on a much bigger scale. To prevent blackouts, engineers are working on ways to shield power lines or even shut them down temporarily during a storm. It's like putting your electronics in a Faraday cage, but for an entire city. And let's not forget about communication systems. GPS is crucial for everything from navigation to emergency services, so if a space hurricane messes with it, we could be in trouble. To combat this, experts are developing backup systems and even using alternative technologies like quantum communication. It's like having a second chance at the same game, just in case the first one gets knocked out by cosmic forces.